In this first video, we're going to be installing Python and also an IDE. An IDE is an integrated development environment, which is software that lets us easily write and run Python files. There are many different IDEs, some are basic and lightweight, while others have many built-in tools. In this series, I'll be using Visual Studio Code, also known as VS Code, which kind of sits somewhere in the middle. So first, we need to download and install Python. If you go to python.org, I'll link this down in the description, we can get the latest version of Python. So if you come onto the website, hover on downloads, and then you can select the latest version here. You can see I'm on Windows. If you're on Mac, it will give you the latest version for Mac automatically. Right now that's 3.11.1. If you're watching this video later, it might be a newer version, and that'll be totally fine as well. So click on this to download the latest version. Once the download is finished, it shouldn't take long. Click on it to run the Python setup. You can see I've just got a slightly older version because I already have the newest one installed. But I just wanted to show you the installer here. So if you're on Windows, what you want to do is select add python.exe to path. And that means that Windows will know where to find Python when we're using it. On Mac, I believe this will happen automatically, so you don't have this option here. And once you've clicked that, just press install. It doesn't matter too much where the location is. And then you can see we have setup is successful, and we can just close this. Next, we want to install Visual Studio Code, or VS Code. Again, I'll paste this link in the description for you. Just on the main page, again I'm on the Windows, so it says download for Windows. If you're a Mac, it will say download for Mac. Just press that, and that will start the install. Just like with Python, this is a very simple installer. I want to accept the agreement. If you're on Windows, I think this add to path will be automatically enabled. If not, make sure you do enable it. And on Mac, I don't believe the option will be there. And then we can just install that. Then once installed, we can launch it. So now that we have everything installed, we can test that it's working. So when you open VS Code for the first time, you'll get a setup screen here asking you which theme you'd like to choose. I recommend the dark mode, it just looks nicer, especially if they're easier on the eyes if you're going to be looking at the screen for quite a while. Next, we want to set up and create our files for the course. So we'll go to File, Open Folder, and just you can create the folder wherever you want. So you can see I've got in my folder Documents, then Course, and I have the folder Python and Data. So once you've set it up however you like, select the folder, and that opens it up there. And you can see now it's open at the left hand side, and right now there's nothing inside that folder. Now we want to test that Python is installed correctly and our computer knows where to find it. So we're going to open up the terminal here at the top, click Terminal, followed by New Terminal. And if you're on Windows, you want to type Python space -v and press Enter. While if you're on Mac, you want to type the same thing, apart from you have the number 3 after Python, all one word. Now, if that's working correctly, you should be able to see the version of Python appear in the console here. If you're getting an error, the most likely one will be that Python is not a valid command. That means Python's not installed correctly. In which case, I'd recommend uninstalling it and then installing it again, but making sure you click the Add to Path button so your computer knows where to find it. You also may need to restart your computer so the command line can be updated with the location. So let's cover the basics of VS Code and how to run a Python file. First, we want to make sure that Python support is installed in VS Code. So at the left hand side, press this button here to open up the extensions. And you want to search for Python. And you want this one here, the official one from Microsoft, and it also has over 74 million downloads. So make sure that this is enabled, so it should say disabled because it should be enabled, and also installed. If not, do that now. Now, let's go back to the Explorer and create a file. So we'll click back here to go to the Explorer. I'll close this. Now, all Python files end in the extension .py. So we're going to make our first file and call it hello.py. So to create a file, we can either press this button here, or we can right click, select new file. We're going to call it hello.py and press enter. And you can see that opens automatically as well. In this file, we're going to write print, open brackets, hello world, and that's with inside speech marks. And if we press Control S to save, we can see right now on VS Code, if you have the white dot, that means your file is not saved. You've made changes since then. So Control and S to save it, makes the white dot go away. And what this code here is going to do is print out these words inside the console once we run the file. So make sure your terminal is still open. If you've closed it, you can go again at terminal and press new terminal. And what we want to type in here is Python. If you're a Mac, you'll be typing Python 3 instead of Python. So if you're a Mac, Python 3. And then you type the name of the file you want to run. In this case, it's hello.py. Press enter. And there we go, you can see the file's run successfully and it's printed out the contents. VS Code is also very good for autocomplete. So we can type Python, and then if we just type H, it will find the file that matches that within this folder. So if I press H, if I type H and then tab, it will autocomplete. And there we go, we can see that's working. That should be set up with Python and VS Code. So in the next lesson, we're going to start with the basics of Python.